Hello everyone, I'm of course PC Genie from my usual channel. I thought it'd be a good idea to sort of do a vlog, nothing really rehearsed or, well, as you can tell, nothing really rehearsed or planned in advance. I'm just going to talk about certain things going regarding the channel, my life and things like that, and maybe have a bit of an interesting conversation. So I was going to say, one of the things that has changed recently is that I've got a new job at an industrial laundrette, and this is something that can help the channel out a lot because, well, quite simply, it's a a scenario of earning quite a lot more money than I used to. I always appreciate the generous, Patreon donations and things like that, but let's be honest, I can't live on that amount of money, and I was having to eat up all of my savings. Whereas now, if I want to try and get things for my YouTube channel, or try and just get things myself even, I'll be able to afford it a lot more. But I have to say, it's interesting, looking at work and looking for work. It's one of those things where, it's hard to explain. It's sort of great having a job, but sometimes you almost sort of end up regretting it. Not to sound like someone who just wants to live on benefits all their life, I don't. But there are scenarios where it does become quite difficult, really. I'm quite happy with my new job. They're quite, well, it's a lot more relaxed, it's nicer environment, it's good working for people, and although I pretty much ache all the time because it's a very physically active job, in terms of the actual environment, it's much nicer than my first job. And the reason I left it was because it was to put it in context, it was a call centre. It was called Sitel, and they had this place, and I was supposed to be doing after sales for a retailer and stuff like that, and it was pretty bad. It was a scenario where if you had breaks, if you were a minute too late, so let's say you've got a 15-minute break, if you were 16 minutes, you're going to get disciplinary action. If you went to the toilet too many times, they'd be asking, oh, why, and, oh, can you not, and disciplinary action again. I even saw some people getting fired who had legitimate illnesses, and they just go, oh no, it's too much, fired. And even in terms of actually being there, it wouldn't be like my current job where you go, okay, I'm in before my start time, clock in, ready for work, it's all good. It would be, you've got to be, let's say you've got to start at 8 in the morning, it would be, you got to get in the building, you've got to log on, or find a desk, which can be a bit difficult in, a chaotic day. You've got to make sure you've all logged in, you've got all your systems active, you've got to have all of that ready, logged into all these 5 or 6 different things that can do stuff for customers. I obviously can't go into specifics or it would be trade secrets, but you get the idea, this thing that's about stuff you've bought, and this one that's about arranging repairs and replacements and whatever, and this that's about some other part of the history and notes, and all of these things, you've got about, half a dozen of them to do, and you've got to log them all in and get them all prepared, and then you've got to have it all set up so you can take calls and get that all ready so that you are able to take that first customer call before you've got to be in. If you, were in and were trying to get that all done and you were actually in the building, you'd found your desk and were starting to get ready at, let's say, 8 when you had to start, they'd call you up for disciplinary action. They say, no, you need to be actually taking the calls by that start time. And that was just ridiculous. And, there would be people who would maybe have some delay in the bus, or, there'd be traffic, there could be something else weird that cropped up, or whatever, that means that, they're able to get in before the start time, and they're able to, maybe be up on the floor and in that office building, and they'd say, oh no, but you weren't actually there taking the calls by that start time, so you're now facing disciplinary action and maybe dismissal. What? It was, without using curse words, it was a somewhat rancid environment. And on the related note to a rancid environment, more literally speaking, of course, people being treated like that for illness and absence and things like that, with the general assumption being if you were off work, it was probably you're pulling a sickie or, you know, doing this fraudulently. It meant that there were some extreme scenarios. I remember this time when for a good week or so, there'd be the floor below where I was, and I'd be walking up. You've got these sort of stairwells, and you lead up to your offices, and then you go out, and you've got sort of the toilets, and then you go into the main officey bits with desks and things going on. So it would be that I'd walk up the stairwell to my floor, and on the floor just below, I'd smell diarrhea from out there, out the toilets, out of the little mini hallway, into the stairwell, very distinctly. Not very nice, I have to say, which made me worry, what sort of condition was that person in, whoever did that. And again, this was for a good week. This wasn't like a one-off. This was consistently every single day. And besides that, there was this time when someone on the floor above me, luckily not quite so much happening on my own floor, more out of luck than skill, they were quite unwell, and they'd gone in, and it was that situation where they didn't want to get fired for being ill too many times, or it's got to be your fault, or oh, you're faking it, aren't you? So they came in, and yeah, they vomited on the floor at work, because they're just not allowed. I mean, you're not even allowed to sort of, you can't, if you're in the middle of some call with someone, you can't go, oh yes, that's great, oh, I'm very sorry about the problems you're having, by the way, goodbye, I'm off to the toilet. You don't, you got to be there. You've got to sit through it all. It could be that, someone's causing trouble and you need to be around for about an hour, solid. That happened to me. I remember a time when I was there for a whole hour and a half non-stop just with one person because they were just kicking up a stink. You can't terminate it and go, sorry, I'm starving, I need to have lunch, or I really need the toilet, or whatever. You can't. You just have to stay there forever, potentially. And it can lead past your finish time of your shift, because it's not acceptable if you're too late by a minute or two for the start of your shift. But if your age is late and the customers and people are keeping you well after your shift, I mean, that's tough, isn't it? It's just, that's life. Little buggers. So yeah, rant aside, I mean, I've got a much better job now, and I'm much happier, I'd say. I mean, it's surprising how much stress and sort of anxiety and things you can get caused just from a really bad job. And I was quite surprised. I was getting fairly paranoid, to be honest, but then I left the job because I thought, I just had enough, and it was almost incredible the amount of difference I noticed in my attitude and, sort of the way I was to people, because I was getting really snappy even at the people I know and love. I just seemed to hate everybody and everything, and yet I just left the job, and then, I mean, it wasn't immediate per se, but it was over maybe about a month. It was from that to being my usual, hopefully nicer self. And I thought, wow, how crap was that job? And secondly, how much worse would I have got if I stayed there? And what about the people who still are staying there because they need the money and they've got their bills? I'm quite lucky to live with my parents, so I can sort of use a few of my savings, and I can, almost sort of sponge off them more if I had to. Whereas these people don't have a choice. They have to kind of stay there, and, it doesn't matter how crap their job is, they need to keep going. It could cause some really serious problems, but there you go. So yeah, that's that. I mean, on a related note to jobs, I've got a bit of, if you've stayed around this long, tell you what, I'll reward you all with a nice tip. And my tip, a few tips, and one of my tips is, one thing that helps you get employed is that on your CV, when or even during an interview, when you're describing yourself, just use synonyms. So by that I mean just sort of similar terms. It'd be like, for example, a normal person might just put on their CV that they're bubbly as a personality, or they're friendly, and they'll go, oh yeah, you and 57 others, goodbye. you know, just a generic description, or I'm hard working. So if you sort of say that, the people almost sort of gloss over that, just thinking you're just putting that down because that's what they want to see. Whereas if you use synonyms, it almost sort of catches their eye, there's something different. So I, for example, in applying to this co-op job, I mean, had experience in volunteering at a museum and working in a call centre. So sort of maybe having a little walk around some old building talking to people and yakking to people whilst sat in a chair in an office all day. Weren't really any relatable skills to working in an industrial laundrette where I've got to move a couple of tons of clothes by hand every day. Yeah. How are you supposed to relate that? Well, I mean, you've got to stretch it out with synonyms and things. So instead of saying, oh yeah, I'm hard working, honest, gov, legit, mate, I said, I'm an industrious person, and, you know, just related terms like that. And, you know, having a good work ethic, you could say that you're dedicated. Actually, that might be a bit generic, but you get what I mean. Just sort of describing the same thing, but in a slightly different way. So it's interesting, the job hunt was a very bizarre little jungle of people who were looking for weird little things in the CVs and asking odd things in your sort of interviews. One bit of advice that I was given, another tip, is that yeah, it's a good idea to go and sort of use relatable stories, so anecdotes, that is. So if you were describing something where maybe you were showing you went beyond your job description, you know, beyond the Call of Duty, you have to sort of, rather than just saying, oh yeah, I can do this kind of stuff and I'm like this, if you're able to give a specific situation, a story, just a short story of how that actually happened in a job, it actually comes across better to employers, rather than saying, oh yeah, I'm really hard working, honest, mate. And they go, yeah, whatever. If you can give a story and describe a time when you really were like that, it helps you get a good job. It's another thing I did. I mean, I was talking to them about a time I'd gone beyond the Call of Duty and stopped some fraud. Obviously can't give many specific details, trade secrets and all that, but yeah, it was good. So yeah, I don't know, I'm ranting. Apparently vlogs seem to do well, so I'm going to experiment here and see what you guys think. If you don't like it, I'll just stop and carry on with my usual topics. And if you do like it, I'll do more. Simple. So consider this video an experiment. So yeah, that's it. I think I'll stop there and maybe discuss other stuff in another video. See you guys later and enjoy yourselves. Bye.